Jean, hi. Anyway, just hello to everyone. We have over 1,000 people registered today, and so I just want to say I'm very, very excited that you all are here. Welcome all of those of you that are also watching on the watching or listening via the telephone, and also for those of you that are watching or listening to the replay. I'm very excited to be here. This is our first big event here in 2012, and this is More Clients for Me. So welcome to More Clients for Me, or maybe I should say More Clients for You, because that's what we're going to be talking about in the next few classes here. This is a 4-part series, and first of all, we're going to be starting with some questions that if you're new and you're just starting out, we're going to be talking today about the 4 filtering questions. But if you've been around for a while, I'm going to invite you to rethink them just a little bit. All right? I want to start out with the idea that we have therapists and coaches on this call and healing professionals, and what I know about you, already I'm getting teary-eyed. What I know about you is that you have big hearts and you care an awful lot about what is going on in the world, and that you have all of this love and desire to heal and help. And that's why I wake up every morning trying to figure out how to help you guys have more clients and have an easier time. And I've been kind of quiet for the last, I would say since our event in November, for the last 2 months, I've been a little bit quiet. One is we had such a great event, the More Clients for Me Pro version in November. So I'm delighted to welcome back any of you that were able to catch us there, and to welcome all of you that are new here to Be a Wealthy Therapist. And this More Clients for Me is what I call the More Clients for Me beginning. And it's beginning whether you're just beginning your practice or beginning because we're really beginning anew. And let me share with you why I say this. I believe that our culture is reawakening. You can see this in the Occupy Wall Street stuff. You can read this in the newspapers. Our culture is hurting more than ever. They're going to need you more than ever. And at the same time, there's so much distrust of marketing. There's so much distrust of people who claim to be experts. And there's so much distrust of I want to say they're worried about, they can't trust our marketing. And it's scary out there being a consumer today. And so where I think we need to begin to look at and perhaps modify our marketing for this year is to really step back and begin to realize that what is more than ever, even though I've said this over and over and over again, more than ever, what is going to help you attract the clients that you want this year are 2 things. One is building relationships. Okay, that's going to be really important. But the second, it's going to be about alignment. And I'm going to be talking a little bit about that today. The alignment of your message, of who you are. And these filtering questions that I've talked about before, but I invite you to think about them again. I think about them about monthly, so I invite you to think about them again. It's going to be your clients are going to come from the intersection of who you are and what you love, and who needs to hear that, who needs you. And I want to start with the question that I get a lot, which is, why is it hard to get clients today? Why is it hard to build a practice? So if you're on the chat, if you'd like to put in your ideas there, that would be awesome. Why is it hard, do you think, to get clients today? Now, I will tell you that we all know that the economy is difficult. We know that. This is one of the worst economies in most of our business careers that we've run into. But there's more. There's the idea that, as I was saying before, that our culture has changed and that people are wanting quicker solutions. They're wanting instant gratification. It's really, I'm just looking at my notes here. They're our customers are more discriminating now than they have ever been, and there are more options, more self-help options for them than they ever have had, than we've ever had before. And the way that, yes, Natasha says the market is saturated with counselors. I said, why is it hard? And somebody wrote, it's because my attitude. Okay. Anne says there's managed care. Here in the U.S., we have managed care. Most of you know what that is. If you're not from the U.S., it means we have some behavioral health care plans that companies have bought into, and then their employees get services from these managed care panels. And if you're not on the panel, that makes the options less for individuals or makes it perhaps more difficult. Anne says there's a shift in priorities. And then we have our therapist baggage that we therapists come with. I like to say, who needs 30 hours of therapy a week? We therapists do. So we have our own baggage, and plus we have baggage, as Anne notes, about charging fees. There's this whole issue. I really tell you that therapists are more comfortable taking a sexual history from a potential client than they are talking about their fees. And I mean, to ask a client, so what's your masturbation history, to make that an easier question than to talk about your fees is kind of interesting. Now, I know many of you on this call are beyond that, but some of you might still be struggling with it. Stephanie says, low fees for managed care are an issue. She was offered $5 a session. Julia says that there's fear and the blocking of creativity. Yes. Excuse me. So, and some of you in Canada are saying that family services are often provided at no fee. So there's, a big breakdown between the funded programs and that are funded by the government and people can get free services versus when they're going to have to open up their wallets and pay you. So all of these are issues. All of these are issues. And at the same time, what I think is super important, is that you never forget your purpose and why you're here. So I said before, I think there's a lot of issues, and a lot of issues are around the economy and things that are external to us that we can't control. I think that there's some internal things, which I call thinking and doing problems, that perhaps we can control. We'll be talking more about those on class number 2 and 3. Excuse me. So, and there's a third thing, again, is this cultural shift with customers, your potential customers, your potential clients, not feeling that you are aligned with your message. And I don't know whether I could say this word, but it's like those meters you can have when people aren't telling the truth. If your marketing language is not 100% aligned with who you are, and if the marketing you're doing is not 100% aligned with the person you are, that's going to show up right away. And more than ever, our culture is awakening and seeing that. So this is what I'm hoping to help you with this year, is to clarify your marketing so that you can get in alignment with your values. And that's what we're going to do on this first couple of calls. And then on the second and third call, we're going to be talking about the marketing activities that we have, and that you can then choose the marketing activities that suit both you and your personality and use your gifts and are aligned with your values and those of your client. That said, let's get started. I'm very, very excited. One of the things I want to say is I like to say that you guys are on the leading edge, and anybody that spends 4 hours of their time or even a half an hour hanging out with me, I believe that you are on the leading edge. You are the face of the changing view of private practice. You are the ones that are saying to the world, we're here, we want to help you, and we're going to do that with open, honest hearts. And so I'm very, very excited that you're here. So the other reason that it's often hard to market is that we don't do it. We have these thinking problems that get in our own way. And we tell ourselves it can't be done. I've done the math. Now, I haven't done this for coaches, but I think it's even better stats for coaches. For therapists, I have done the math. I've taken the number of people that are diagnosed with a mental disorder every year, and this does not include V codes. I've divided that by the number of therapists, and it looks like all therapists could get 35 clients a year. Now, since we know that all therapists are not in private practice, we know that there's enough. So there's an abundant number of clients around for you. And what I want to know is, are you ready? Are you ready? Okay, I see some of you are. So the first question that I like to ask, and you may think that this is a silly question, but after working with over 25,000 therapists and coaches, I will tell you that these questions that I'm going to present to you over the next 4 weeks are the ones that mean success versus not success. So let's start with this first one. And the first question is, what does success mean to you? What does success mean to you? Now, the first time I was asked at that question, I thought that was kind of a stupid question. It's like, what do you mean? What do you mean, what does success mean to me? It's very simple. It means I have the practice I want, I'm seeing the people I want, and I'm excited about it, and I'm making some money. Well, success to you may be different than somebody else. So, for example, I was talking to two different therapists, and we were saying, what does success mean? And one of them said, I would just like 5 clients that pay me very well, that perhaps I'm on retainer with, and that I make a lot of money with, and I just have those 5 clients. For other people, they said, no, I would like to work many, many more hours, and I would like to see, because I want to reach more people, and so I want to work more and more hours. So again, it depends on what you decide. So let's look at it in terms of what does success mean to you, because I think one of the reasons that we've been having some trouble marketing our practices is that we've been trying to hit a moving target. So I know that sometimes I'll be thinking, okay, this is what I want my practice to look like, and then I will hear of somebody else doing something different, and I will feel envious, or perhaps like I'm not doing it right or good enough. And then I scramble around trying to do something that's not me, that's not in alignment with me, and then it doesn't work. So for those of you that say things like, Julia, I want 25 clients a week, the next question is why? Now that's really a bonus question, but the why is what is going to keep you on purpose. The why is what is going to keep you on purpose. So I know that it's not uncommon. I'm seeing here in the chat that some of you are saying, yes, there's lots of times like I'm feeling like I'm not doing it good enough. We tend on therapists and coaches to run on sort of a continuum between 2 points. And one point is, I'm doing a lot, but it's not focused. Or I'm not doing anything. Or I'm doing nothing but thinking I'm doing something. Or I'm doing a lot and it's very focused. So you see that we have all those combinations. Here's what I want you to think. What does success mean to me? So first of all, it's how many sessions do you want? What types of clients do you want to work with? What type of impact do you want to make? Do you want a local impact, a regional impact, an international impact? Do you want to become a household word around the world? Or do you want to be known in your local community? Now, your marketing is going to be very different depending on the answer to those questions. And then some people say, well, I want to be financially stable. That brings us to the money. What does that mean? Financially stable is not a number we can hit. What is the number we need to hit or want to hit on a regular basis? Because that's the way that we can tell whether we're on track or not. And this, again, goes back to being in alignment with your views and your values. I'll give you an example. I was teaching a class over the weekend, and there was a man who was very, very wonderful guy, and he said to me, tell me, I want to raise my fees. My people tell me I should raise my fees. I said, okay, tell me about that. And he said, I think I should be charging $25 more than I'm charging. I said, okay, why aren't you? And he said, well, I don't know. And he gave me all these reasons. And the naggy den mother coach in me said, well, I think it's time to get over that. And we kind of laughed. And then he came up to me later, and we started talking again on a much deeper level. And what he said there was that he believed in the fee that he was currently charging, and while other people were telling him to charge more, he strongly felt that the fee he was charging was the right price, the right price. So based on that, I told him to tell all those other people to kiss off because he ought to be charging the right price. So the money that you're going to be charging, make sure it's the amount that you would pay. Would you pay that? There are times when I've offered programs that I wouldn't pay for, and every time I did, they didn't sell. All right. So what is the amount of money that you want? What are the hours you want to work? A lot of people say, well, I want 25 hours a week. Why? Okay. Is it because you've done the math and you know that if you do that, that will meet a certain budget that you have? And where did that budget come from? Did you add up all of your expenses and what you want your business to pay for? All of these things come into play. And I think that if you can take the time to really step back and say, what does success mean to you? And really be clear, then and that includes your purpose, and we're going to be talking about your message in just a minute. But that purpose, excuse me, I'm just going to take a sip of water here. When you get clear on what success means to you, and you are living and working your purpose, I believe that you will have absolutely no problems getting clients, regardless of the economy. So, really important. Some people are making fun of me for water in the coffee mug. I'll tell you that's why, for those of you that ever do anything like this, you don't want to have a clear cup, because if you have a clear cup and you go like this, people see up your nose. And it is a big mug, but it's much bigger on the webcam. Okay. So what does success mean to you? So again, we're looking at that in terms of client hours. Do you want 5 or 10 client hours? Do you want 25 client hours? What type of clients do you want? Now, a lot of people have been talking, or I've been talking, and for years people have been talking about marketing a specialty. Last year I said I don't think it's that important, the specialty. This year I'm going to go one step further and say I don't think it's that important. Okay, I even think it's less important this year than I did last year. Now, why is that? Remember when I said before, you need to be in alignment with your purpose and what it is you're wanting from your heart and who it is you're wanting to see and the message that you're living. I think that it's super important that you just let the joy out. And for the last few years, I know I've talked about taglines and the short answer to the question, so what do you do for a living? That, is kind of hooky. Well, now I'm thinking it's hokey. Okay. When I'm talking about a specialty, I'm talking about in terms of target population. All right, because marketing. Because when I'm talking about specialty, I really don't care what your clinical specialty is, because you're not 99% of the time marketing a clinical specialty. People don't wake up at 3 a.m. and go, oh, I need EMDR, or, oh, I need this. They wake up with a problem. So you're really wanting, if you're going to market to a specialty, you want to market a specialty that is a problem or a special kind of person that you can connect with in some way. Now, a lot of people are saying, what, Casey, you always say specialty. Everybody says specialty. Yes and no. Okay, I don't want you to say that you're a psychotherapist. I don't want you to say that. Or I don't want you to say I'm a coach, okay? I want you, yes, Love Coach Diane says like a specialty in love relationships or affairs. Yes, I think those are excellent idea. Even if you want to be more broad and say I help people have, the relationship they deserve, or I help people fight the divorce odds or something like that. Step families, all of those are great kinds of things, and those are very broad because there are so many of all of those topics. What I am not saying is that you have to do that. I would much rather, if you can't, like a lot of people will say they're not going to market. Here's where this is coming from. A lot of people say I'm not going to market because I can't find a specialty. All right? And then they waste weeks and days and months, and then it turns into years trying to figure out who their ideal client is and their specialty. And this is because people like me told them to do that. And then what I'm seeing is this delay, and there are clients out there who need you, who want you, and unfortunately aren't going to get you because you're spending so much time trying to identify the perfect ideal client. So if I go back to the alignment thing, this comes to question number 2. So question number 1 is, what does success mean to you? Question number 2 is, who are you? And this is where it goes back to letting the joy out. Okay. Now, if I'm starting to read some lines in the chat, and it's a little hard to stay focused on the camera and reading at the same time and want to responding to everything I'm reading. And I'm very conscious that many of you are listening to the replay and don't have access to the chat, and those of you on the phone don't have access to the chat. So one of the things that happened is, years ago I said everybody needs a tagline. That was what I said, everybody needs a tagline. And then everybody spent so much time developing these taglines that didn't feel authentic, that didn't feel aligned, that were kind of cute and all of that, but didn't feel deep or playful, however you want to do it. And so based on that, it started to cause a problem, I think, in that people wouldn't believe you. So it's still in my self-study course, the chapter on tagline, because I just haven't had the time to redo this, but I don't talk about that anymore, and I don't think that's important. All right. What I think is important is that you let the joy out. Recently, I was on a call with a bunch of it was either the Ruby call or the Topaz call, I don't remember. And it was a retreat, and we were all on a Skype, like webinar thing where we could see each other. And I would ask people, so what do you do for a living? And people would go, and I could see their faces look up in the air and go, and then they would try to talk about it. Now, if I ask you to talk about, those of you that are parents, if I ask you to talk about your kids, or those of you that have pets, I ask you to talk about your pets, or those of you who have hobbies, if I ask you to talk about your hobbies, none of you would go, and then try to come up with something canned. You would let the joy out. So I'm going to ask you momentarily, maybe not forever, but momentarily, to throw away all those taglines that you have, to stop using them. Just test it. And when people ask you for what you do, don't go along with the tagline. Don't try to come up with a tagline. Just start talking. You can say, I am so lucky. I am so lucky. I get to work with fabulous people, and we work on, and if you want to say more about that, you can do that. All right? But please don't have some canned, rehearsed tagline, because what's going to happen is it's going to actually push people away from you. And some people are asking what tagline is. Good, I'm glad you don't know. But what I used to use it as is I have to get another cup of sip. It's a short 4 or 5 words that try to describe what you do in some kind of catchy fashion. So I think that I would ask you, I'm not even going to use the word tagline anymore. I'm stopping that. But when people ask you what you do for a living or on your website, talk about it from your heart. Talk about it from your heart. And I don't want it to sound the same way every single time. That's not going to make it sound authentic to me. And that's not going to cause the alignment that you want. So people are asking for an example of a tagline. No, we're not going to give it to you because I don't want you to use them. I'm talking to the people who have had them in the past, and we're not going to use them anymore. So we're not going to talk about elevator speeches or taglines or anything like that. So if you're new, great. You can start fresh, and you don't have to think about that. So who are you? Let's go there. All right? Let's go there. Who are you? So that conversation about tagline is going to be replaced by the next sentence, the next question I ask you. All right? So I'm having a little bit of problem because a lot of you in the chat are trying to put your taglines in there, and that's great, but just know that that's not what I'm teaching. I'm teaching you, inviting you to stop using them for a little bit and see what happens, because I'm betting that your marketing is going to increase. So if you're not using one, great. So let's start with a question. Who are you? Who are you? Tell me about your loves. Tell me about what makes your heart sing. All right? So what are your hobbies? Who are the people that are important to you? How would you describe yourself? What is it that you've learned in your life that means so much? Who are you? Okay, who are you? All right. So, if I were to come up with my list, I would say wife, stepmother, coach, former lots of things, including ballroom dancer, runner, bicyclist. I love working out. I love reading. I love teaching. I love helping people. What am I called to do? I want people to be successful. I want to be the voice of reason in sometimes a not so reasonable world. I want to help therapists, find inside of them that piece, that the business owner that's dying to come out and get paid well. I want to help people to get rid of all of the questions that they have and the stumbling blocks that they have in their own way so that they can easily build the practice and the business that they want. All right. What do you want? So Barbara says, I love performing. Dallas says, I'm a family man, passionate about life, mentoring, helping people reach their full potential. Okay. Want people to be successful, have more joy, have people feel that. Renee says, says, I want people to feel the excitement of the ahas. Okay. All of these things. Okay, now I'm starting to feel relaxed. Do you see how much better that feels to just get in alignment with that place? All right. Michelle says, that's one of our privileges, that people tell us their innermost thoughts. Yes, I so agree with that. All right, who are you? Now, what would your best friends say about you? Okay, what would your best friends say about you? How would they describe you? And then going deeper, what is the thing that you have most learned in your life that you want other people to know? What is the thing that you have learned in your life that you want other people to know? So you might want it to be that, for me, what I want therapists and coaches to know is that if we would stop trying so hard to build our practices and went with our gut, but acted with integrity and acted with focus and went with our gut and our thoughts and our feelings, it's so easy to get clients when we do that. Just letting the joy out is what makes it so easy. And all of these people are trying to make it so hard by coming up with all these things that just don't fit right. It's like puzzle pieces that don't fit. I want it to be easier. I want it to be easier. All right. So if you're new, welcome. I'm excited that you're here. And if you're somebody that's been around with me for a long time and you're mad at me for me forcing you to do some kind of tagline before that describes what you do, and now I'm saying throw it away for a little while, whatever you want. If it feels right to you, if it feels in sync, if it doesn't feel rehearsed, then go for it. But if it feels a little bit like and you kind of have to think about it, then it's not coming from the heart and authentically. All right. This is what I want for you this year, and forever, but especially right now, is to throw away what all of the experts, including me, including all of us that have partnered together to help you on this journey, throw away everything that we have said that doesn't feel authentically you. So soon I'm going to be doing a live stream class on what to put on your website. And I will tell you that I'm a little nervous about it because so much of what I want you to put on your website is stuff that comes from your heart. And I can't tell you what's going to come from your heart. That's where it has to come from you. But we're going to give you a little bit of structure. All right. So Sarah says, well, when we answer these questions, what do we do with them? Okay, I'm going to get there. the answer to these questions are going to help you develop your marketing plan, all right? And eventually the copy, meaning the text, for your marketing materials. All right. So thoughts, comments, questions on that? I know that if you're watching the replay, you can't exactly give us thoughts and comments. Maybe you can on a blog post there. But let me just take a sip again. If you're on the telephone and you have a question, if you would like to press *2, I will unmute you and you can be on live with us. Know that we are recording this. Okay, let's see. I have somebody here. Let's test this. Go ahead. Okay,
Hi.
yes. Hi, who's this?
Jessica Huff.
Hi, Jessica.
Hi, how are you?
Good.
My question is that I'm just starting out in private practice, and I feel I don't have any clients right now at all. I had a few, and for one reason or another, people had to end. And so I'm kind of struggling with marketing, and I feel like I do try to come from an authentic place, but on my website and with people, and I'm enthusiastic about what I do, so I'm just looking for any suggestions.
Well, that's what the whole class is about, Jessica. So take a breath, because you're in very good company. What we're going to do is we're going to help you answer the first 4 filtering questions. Then we're going to go into the 17 different marketing activities, and based on who you are and your clients, based on the answer to these 4 questions, your marketing activities will appear very clearly.
Okay.
Okay?
Thank you.
You're in the right place. Thanks for popping in here. Great.
Thanks for taking.
Okay, great. So I think that, Jessica, you're 100%, people understand exactly what you're saying. Now, how do you market yourself? How do you get out there to get clients? And I am going to tell you that, I'm going to tell you that. And I'm going to tell you how to do that in class 2 and class 3. But if you don't answer these 4 questions for yourself, you're going to be doing marketing activities that are inauthentic, that are hard, and that don't work. So if you want to spend time doing that, go for it. But I'm going to beg you to wait and to spend the time asking those. So I have only asked you 2 of the 4 questions. So question number 1 is, what does success mean to you? Question number 2 is, who are you? Okay, so in what does success mean to you? All right. So question number 1 is, who are you? Excuse me, what does success mean to you? And success in terms of number of hours that you're working, number of hours of time that you have to be on your leisure time, amount of stress you have in your life, the fees that you're wanting to charge, the ultimate income that you're wanting to bring in. That's all part of what does success mean to you, so that we can have a not moving target, so that we have a solid thing that we're shooting for and we can tell whether we're on or off course. So that's number 1. Question number 2 is, who are you? And in who are you, it's, what are your strengths? What do you love to do? What's your personality like? What would your friends say about you? What is the message that you have been called? This is the next part I'm just getting to. What is the message that you have been called here to talk about? What is that? All right. So this is really important. What is the message that you are called here to say? Now I ask you, what do you believe in? What have you learned? What do you wish people would know? And is that the message that you're called here to talk about? So for me, like I said, I'm called to say, it's easier than you think. It is so much easier than you think to have the business that you want. Okay? So Amber, that's actually still part of question number 2. Okay? What is the message you've been called to talk about is part of question number 2. All right? So also part of the who are you, okay, is, what kind of business model do you want to incorporate? So I've said this before, and I'll say this again, that the private practice that your supervisor had is not going to be the private practice that you're going to have. Times have changed. The culture has changed. People are demanding shorter sessions, more flexibility in delivery, more products and services, all those kinds of things. So what is the business model? We have the private practice, the classic private practice, and then what I'm calling private practice plus. And you might have private practice plus a membership program, private practice plus offering an information product, or plus certain kind of VIP days or retreats. It might be any of these kind of things. So how is it you want to leverage your time? Do you want to add coaching? What are all of the things that you want to do in your business model, which is all part of you? Okay, what is the reach you want to have? If you want to have a local reach, you're going to have a different marketing plan than if you want a global reach. All right? So I know this because I started out just wanting my little local area, and then it kind of grew to where we are today. Thank you, Lord, and thank you guys for being here and supporting me. I really just need to pause and say thank you. You're the reason I get up in the morning. You're the reason I do this work. You're the reason I take all the classes I do to try to learn to support you. And if you weren't here supporting me back, I would not have my purpose. So thank you. Thank you for that. So the third question, let me just grab my notes here. On the who are you, we also want to talk about what energizes you. Okay, what energizes you? And I think there's such cool contrast because what energizes you may not energize me and vice versa. So that's what's so cool about the contrast in the world, and that's like super. So, and back to your message, what do you believe in that you write in your journal? What quotes are important to you? And I know that some of you are saying, when is she going to get to the marketing activities? But I'm going to tell you, if you don't know this part, if you don't know that message that's inside of you that's wanting to come out, and sometimes it can be very simple. It doesn't have to be real complicated. But if you don't know that message, you're not going to be able to create a marketing plan that's in alignment with your authentic beliefs and values. Okay? All right. So then the third filtering question is, who needs to hear my message? Okay? Who needs to hear my message? So if your message is to help people reconnect with one another, who needs to hear that? Okay. If your message is, I like to work with step families, okay? Well, obviously it's step families that need to hear your message because you have something to give them. Perhaps you've been through it and you have something to give them. So what is it who needs to hear the message that you have? Then I'm going to ask you, this is where it gets a little bit marketing-y, but still we want to remain authentically connected, right? And in alignment with our values. And that is, do they know they need your message? Okay? Do they know they need your message? So, if not, it's going to be a little bit harder to get clients for it. All right? And this is why I say you can't sell a process like EMDR or Psych K or one of those, because then you have to explain to them what the process is good for. So you can't really sell a process. So what is it? So, so Dallas says, fight the new drug, porn. Okay, like pornography. All right. So very interesting about this stuff. So I know many of you are trying to get me to go into specifics about advertising and marketing and coaching and all that. I'm begging you to stay with the questions, and I'm going to tell you, if you can discipline yourself enough to stay with these questions, it's going to be the difference between major success and it being hard work. All right? So the third question is, who needs to hear your message? Who needs to hear your message? And then the second part to that is, do they know they need it? Do they know they need it? If they know they need it, and it's in aligned with who you are, your message is in aligned, and you know who needs it, and they know they need it, and this is really important, are they willing to pay for it? Are they willing to pay for it? Okay? Because if you have a message that people aren't willing to pay for, we need to see if there's a secondary message that they might be willing to pay for. We need to change it. So if I say, like, I might say, I help, I work with couples. Well, do couples know that, work with couples? That doesn't mean anything, okay? So I don't understand what that is. But if you say, I am so excited, I have the best job in the world. I get to work with couples, and you know how every once in a while there's like those annoying things that just get you fighting, and it's the same fight over and over again. Oh, I'm just so happy when I get to work with people and teach them how not to do that anymore. Now see, that's not very eloquent or elegant, but if you're in that situation and you've been having the same old argument over again, you're going to feel that on a deep level. Do people want to pay for that? Possibly. All right? So you need to get it to a yes. So a lot of people will say, I work with women in transition. Well, do women wake up at 3 a.m. and go, oh, I'm in transition and I'm going to pay for a therapist or a coach to help me with that? I'm guessing no. But this is where you want to think about it. All right? What is it that you're called? Who needs to hear that? Do they know they need it? All right? Because if you're trying to sell something that nobody knows they need, it's going to be hard. All right? So see if there's more. I'm going to do my Venn diagram. Okay, my little circles here. So see if there's a place where what you have to offer intersects with what your potential clients need. All right? So if you say, I help kids have a wonderful childhood not filled with pain, do the parents know that the kids need that, and would they pay for it? I'm going to say possibly, which means we need to just modify that just slightly to where they say yes. Okay? So Love Coach Diane says, who needs to hear my message? Couples who are uncertain whether to stay or go on after a affair. Do they know they need it? I'm saying yes. She said almost always because they're in such pain. Are they willing to pay? Those that want to stay together, or at least one of them want to stay together, are going to pay for that. All right? So that's really, really beautiful. Okay? So Jacob says, I want to have families have more happiness and less stress. I think that's great, and I would talk about that. And it might be a little bit harder to sell because I don't know that they would pay for that. All right? But you could help them pay for that, meaning help them want to pay for it by saying, I work with couples or families to help them have, more fun and less stress, and, especially when something difficult has happened, like example A, B, and C. All right? And then that might go, oh, I'd want to pay for that. All right? So I'm hoping that you can see how this is super important with your aligning with your message, and you're aligning with what your client is willing to hear in order to hire somebody. All right. So, excellent question. So I'm just looking at my notes here. All right. If you don't think that they would pay for your services, imagine being that ideal client. I know that I've said create the ideal client profile and give them a name, a hair color, an eye color, a family of origin story, a family of procreation story, everything down to their pets. I've said that. And I'm not going to tell you not to do that, but I'm going to tell you not to focus so much on that. I'm going to ask you, in a general sense, what are people thinking that they would want to pay? What are they waking up at 3 a.m. worrying about and wanting to pay you for? All right? It can be, again, we're going back to, it can be in a general sense, like just I teach people how to be happier. I teach people how to get along better. All right? It's fine to go that way if you let the joy out and if that's in alignment with what you do. Now again, this is a giant testing because we're just starting to see this change that our culture is awakening to the unhappiness with icky marketing and the unhappiness with big business. And they're wanting to connect with, on a one-to-one level, with individuals. So you have the opportunity here. You have a huge opportunity to be out in front. All right? So, question number 1, what does success mean to you? Question number 2 is, who are you? And all the sub-questions that go with that. Question number 3 is, who needs to hear your message? All right? Who needs to hear your message? And then, question number 4. Oh, I was just, in my notes here, I have a note that I said the sweet spot is the intersection between you, your beliefs, your message, your client, and what they want. The intersection of those, as you let the joy out, is where those clients are going to come from. All right. Now, here's why I told you guys all this. Because now, once you get all that clear in your mind, you know the target you're trying to hit from a business owner perspective, you know you, and you're so clear on what works for you. I know some of you said you like speaking. Some of you said you don't like speaking. You're so clear on who you are and what you want out of this, and your strengths and your gifts. And you're so clear on your message. I love to see that we're so clear on the message and what makes our heart sing. Based on all of that, do you see then how when we present you, and Amber, are you on the line with me?
I am. Hello.
Hello. Hi. This is Amber, our operations manager. Amber.
Hi, everyone.
Quick question. Do they have access to the resource center where we could put these filtering questions for them?
I plan on putting them on the replay page. Yes, absolutely. We have a special replay page for this class where they can go and find their audio and video replays, and I will absolutely have anything you would like posted there along with these questions.
Okay, let's have the filtering questions there.
Okay.
Okay, great. And then I'm going to put the ideal client exercise. I'm going to ask you, Amber, to put the ideal client exercise there.
Of course.
Okay. But I'm going to ask you guys not to get so freaked out about this. If it's taking you longer than 1 hour and a half to do your ideal client exercise, stop. Okay. Step away from the ideal client exercise. All right. Okay. And then also, Amber, we want to put in the marketing activities list.
You bet.
Okay. And so you guys, after the replay goes up, which will be probably within 48 hours, maybe 24, we'll put this up there, and also we're going to put the marketing activities list. Then what's going to happen is you guys are going to be able to look at 4 different types of marketing activities. We have marketing in the community, which means locally in your community, meeting with people. We have marketing on the internet. We have public relations, and we have tribe or community building. Those are 4 different types of marketing. We're going to put that in there. In the next 2 classes, we're going to go over those and the advantages and the disadvantages and what would make sense for you. And we're going to take 2 case studies. We're going to take a couple case studies and show how to build the marketing plan for that particular market. So I'm hoping that works well for you. Okay? All right. So, do we have questions? If there's anybody on the phone line that has a question, you can press *2, and and if you're on the chat, if you want to put a question in there, I'm going to take.
Casey, could you repeat question 4 so I can put that in the chat?
I have not talked about question number 4 yet.
Okay.
We've only gotten 3.
Excellent. I haven't missed it then.
Nope. What does success mean to you? Who are you? And all the sub questions, including your message, and who needs to hear that? Okay. So we don't have number 4 yet. So I'm going to take and there's a reason for that. Okay, hold that thought. Okay, I'm going to take a question here from the from the webcast. Go ahead. From Texas, you're on.
Hello, Casey.
Yes.
This is Deborah. I think you're going to about to answer my question, which was, I missed question 4, and so that was my question. What was question 4?
Okay, don't have that yet. Okay. All right, great. So you're saying to me, why isn't she answering question number 4? Why isn't she asking question number 4? Because question number 4 is, where is your ideal client searching for help for the problem that they have and that they're willing to pay for? So question number 4 is, where are they searching for help? So part of that is, where do they hang out together? So do they hang out together, say they're step families? They'll probably have a step family newsletter. They go to step family talks. They go to Parents Without Partners. Those are ideas of places that they hang out together. Now, they might not hang out together. So let's say you work with sexual dysfunction. They're probably not hanging out together, the people that are struggling with sexual dysfunction. So for those people, you're going to probably need to meet them in a more online or more individual with one potential referral person, meaning their urologist or OBGYN or something like that. All right. So based on, if you were to find out, and this is what we're going to go through in our next calls, if you were to work with, say, teenagers, your marketing plan is going to look different than if you work with couples, or if you work with anger management, or like we said, sexual dysfunction. Sexual dysfunction is going to have a way different marketing plan than women whose Range Rover wouldn't start, or women who are struggling with trying to be perfect. They're going to have way different marketing plans. So one size does not fit all. And I've said this for years, that one size did not fit all. And I used to say it based on personality, because I am a raging introvert. And I can get on this and I can be around people for short periods of time, and then I need to go and recharge. But I'm not going to be good in an ongoing networking, all day, all night networking kind of event. That would just drain me and not be fun. And if it's not fun, it's not going to work for you. If it's not fun, it's not going to work for you. So to me, you want to pick the marketing activities that work for you and for your market. And you want to pick the ways that we can get the most bang for our marketing time and our marketing dollar. And that's why if you try to just jump into what are the air quotes best ways to build your practice, it doesn't make sense without knowing you and what you define as success, and who you are and what you love, and who your ideal client is and where they're hanging out. If we don't have the answers to those questions, it's really not going to make sense to pick marketing activities. And what you're going to do, and I started this call with why is it hard, and why it's hard is that we're tending to do things that are not in alignment. We're not doing things that make sense for who we are and what we do. That's half of it. The other half is this idea that marketing is promoting yourself, okay? That's a third of it. So the second third is the marketing is promoting yourself. I define marketing as letting people in the community know that there is hope and help for them, all right? So if you're going to think of marketing as promoting yourself, I can guarantee you it's not going to work. It just won't work. Because nobody wants to promote themselves, and those that do aren't going to be attractive to people. So it's imperative that you as a business owner recognize that you have a responsibility to your business, which is a separate entity from you, to make sure that your business gets fed with potential clients. You have a responsibility to your community, and yeah, that could be local or global, whatever it is. It's really important that to the community, you let people know that there's hope and help for you. So I'm begging you to reframe your definition of marketing. My definition of networking means connecting. My definition of marketing is just letting people know that there's hope and help. And all we're doing in our marketing is saying, I'm here to serve, who can I serve and how can I serve you? All right, that's all you need to know. All right. So, Love Coach Diane says you can know where your clients are hanging out by asking your top or favorite clients where they shop, eat, hang out, listen hard and take good notes. Perfect advice. Thank you very much for that. All right. So I said there's 3 reasons it's hard on our end in the thinking and doing problems. And I said, the first is all of the stuff that's going on, the economy and all that, and that we haven't answered these questions for ourselves. The second is we're looking at marketing as something icky in terms of promoting. And then the third is that we don't do it. Because while I would love to say, and I do believe that your clients, your ideal clients, are out there seeking you, and they're looking for help. And it's super important that you let them know that you're available. But I know that sometimes we can fool ourselves, and we can tease ourselves, and we can say that we're doing marketing when we're not. All right? And the model that I talked about at the last More Clients for Me, the pro version, was the CARE model, C-A-R-E. And in order to build your practice, I think there's 4 things we need to do. First is clarify, which I've been trying to drill in today with those 4 filtering questions. And then coming up with the marketing activities that you think fit the nice intersection of you and your ideal client. All right? The second, so it's C-A-R-E, right? The C stands for clarify. A stands for act. And that is really where some people get stuck. And I know that we have this nice accountability program as part of our Sapphire and Therapist as Entrepreneur group. And sometimes people in there were saying that they were marketing for 90 minutes during a massage while they talked to their massage therapist. Well, I'd like to say that's 5 minutes of marketing and 85 minutes of self-care. We need to act. We need to, once you figure out the marketing activities, and that will be in the Resource Center, and we will be spending the next 2 classes talking about them. Once you understand the right ones for the intersection of you and who you are, then you can breathe easier because you can put your actions on the calendar and do what you need to do to get the clients, to make yourself available to the clients that are seeking you. All right? And then the R stands for review, what's working, what's not, and modify accordingly. And then E stands for enjoy, because we need to make sure we're having a lot of fun with this. So that's my motto, CARE, C-A-R-E, which is the answer to building the practice that you really, really want. So for this year, I'm going to invite you to take it lighter and easier than you've ever done before, in terms of the angst of trying to define the perfect ideal client and the perfect way of talking about what you do. I'm going to ask you to take that lighter and easier. I'm going to ask you to be clear with yourself, living on purpose, building your practice on purpose with what you hope and want for yourself. Okay. And then we're going to be talking about our marketing activities in the next couple of calls. So I love you guys. Mwah! And I've had a great time today. I hope this has been good I hope it's been good for you. It's been good for me. And I really hope that that this has been meaningful. Again, the CARE stands for clarify, act, review, and enjoy. Clarify, act, review, and enjoy. And today we talked about the clarify. In the next couple of calls, we're going to be talking about clarifying the marketing activities and picking the ones that are right for you. And then in the 4th call, we're going to talk about really moving into action. And I'm going to be inviting you to take a step forward. It won't work without you taking action, and it won't work without you being in alignment. So if it's been hard for you the last few years, or trying to do this and marketing's felt icky, let's reframe it and let's continue. For those of you that have already been marketing in a very authentic way, bless you and thank you for what you do for the planet. And I love you guys very, very much. And we'll see you in the next call. Mwah! Bye-bye.